Well, good morning. Thank you for playing it through and joining us. The budget that was just passed and the budget that I will gladly sign is not just your average, ordinary, typical two-year budget. It is a generational impact budget. Its policies and plans can be viewed as we do as a blueprint for growth, and we're going to be busy building up and growing all over the state of Indiana. It contains, as you all know, unprecedented levels of commitment and investment in public education and public safety and public health, both mental and physical, in workforce development and economic development, in community development, and numerous quality of life and quality of place initiatives that we are eager to get to work on. This budget also addresses some long, lingering needs that we've talked a lot about in this building over the decades. It addresses some time-sensitive needs in this uber competitive world that we find ourselves in, and it accomplishes some major first-time projects. And to be able to realize what have been plans to date because of this budget will become reality. And I'm thinking specifically about state trooper pay being finally raised to a level that shows our respect and our reverence for those who put it on the line every single day. I think about the elimination of textbook fees that has been discussed in these rooms and halls of this building for years and years. I think about the toolkit that the Secretary of Commerce will have. I think about the firefighter assistance, both for our volunteers and for our professional firefighters. I think about all the projects like a new state archives building, like a new Westville correctional facility, like the co-location of our Indiana School of Deaf and for the blind and visually impaired. All of these projects, Potato Creek Lodge, armories all over the state of Indiana. We're in a state of perpetual forward motion in the state of Indiana, and we didn't get here by accident. We got here through discipline and focus and minding the business of the state on behalf of taxpayers. And so, again, I'm extremely proud of this budget. I'm also maybe even more so, and will forever be proud of the work of the people that flank me to my left and right. I'm proud of their perseverance. You all had a lot of help, a lot of people that are still in this building over the last 4 months and before that, but especially over the last 4 months. I'm proud of their intellect, and I'm proud of, on nights or mornings like this, of their sense of humor. It comes in handy when it gets hot in the kitchen, but we never lost our way. And that's evidenced by the work that the House and the Senate, the leaders, I salute Senator Bray, I salute Speaker Houston, all the leaders, the members that listened and quite frankly led. And we did the same thing. And because of that, we're going to be in a better state because of that collaboration. I was going to tick through, and I won't because of the hour, the handout that we gave you. But suffice it to say, in my drawer, I've kept the handout that we distributed at Liberty Park Elementary School back in early January before the members came back into this budget session. And every initiative, in some form or fashion, has been checked. So these two agendas, one before the session and one after, are one in the same. And that is rare. I did not get my breaded tenderloin sandwich, but I'm going to put that aside. I've got executive orders. We'll deal with that later. But the important work that needs to be done, that is wanting to be done, and has been, will happen. These folks are obviously happy to answer any questions, as am I, that you may have. They may be a little punchy, but so might you. So with that, I open it up. Yes, sir.
Governor, the legislature consistently undercut you on public health funding. They went 75, 150. You were 100 plus, 200 plus. Was that a missed opportunity, particularly given the revenue report?
Oh, no. No, we, let me. No, this was, we got, what, 2/3 to start with of our initial ask. And it's also been divided into some different buckets. So you really have to go through and not just look at that initial investment, but look at the investments that are made in stockpiles, look at the investments that are made in data analytics, look at the investments that are made in childhood screenings, look at the different buckets, and then once you add it all up, it's huge. And by the way, it allows us to get started building, not just in the relationships, we've established those in all these local communities, but it allows us to start working with folks who want to participate. That, in addition to the mental health component of all this. This is another, in addition to the federal dollars, but having another $100 million going into mental health allows us to be well on our way down that road to making sure that we can respond to those who need help.
Governor, I know you said one of your biggest goals has been to get average teacher salary
Yes.
$60,000 by the time you leave office.
Yes.
Is this budget going to get you there?
It can. Look, we're going to need some, please. No. I mean, we're going to need some help from the local bargaining units for sure. But this is an unprecedented level coming on the heels of a previous budget that increased it by over $1 billion, back to back. So yes, this can go a long way in realizing that goal, but it'll be case by case.
Do you have any concerns with the size of the voucher increase, since that eats in so much to what
Well,
school districts will be receiving?
Yeah. No, I think my concern was not at the expense of public K through 12, that investment. And fortunately, and maybe most importantly, our state was able to afford this record level of K through 12 investment. Now, had it been different, I would have had some concerns, yes, but it didn't at the end, only because our state's growing.
How much does Senate Bill 4 fulfill the goals of the Governor's Public Health Commission? And talk about what the implementation is going to look like for your end.
Yeah. You want to go, and I'll
Sure.
clean up?
So Senate Bill 4,
Could you move that on my face?
Right.
Senate Bill 4 has the major components that we need in order to be able to go forward and to implement this program appropriately across the state of Indiana, and to work with our partners, our local elected officials and our public health partners and their partners there in their own communities. There are some strings attached, but they're all things that are very, very workable, and we're very excited to get started. We've actually been working on a lot of the implementation things already with our local public health partners, and actually been working with them to understand how we first get them to help convene their local community partners and to develop a plan for public health for their county, and then to start to implement those core services that were clearly outlined in Senate Bill 4.
There's money in the budget for the IUPUI realignment, $60 million for a Purdue building, $60 million for an IU building. I don't recall that being in your original agenda. How did that find its way into the budget, and how is it
steal this for a moment. You know, I think it's been clear with the plan here in Indianapolis that this is about economic growth, you know, the education of individuals who are going to fill the kind of jobs that the governor and I know Secretary Chambers have been seeking for our state, and also from a research standpoint that we'll have, you know, universities on the level that we see in West Lafayette and in Bloomington, and those funds are an investment to make sure, especially those two critical things, the talent pipeline and the research side of those institutions are well equipped to do that work and answer the call for the economic growth that we've already started.
Yeah, I would say there's no secret to it. It was, as I said, at Liberty Park, we left at the very outset hundreds of millions in the budget to go over shared priorities for the House, the Senate to express their priorities, and then to, over the course of 4 months, constantly with an eye toward the April 19th revenue forecast, to reconvene. But this discussion of these two world-class universities, Indiana University and Purdue University, and all that we have going on was critically important to the administration and to both the House and the Senate. So it was something that had been discussed literally from day one.
Governor, the House and Senate Republicans made it a priority to try to reduce healthcare costs this year. Curious what you think about how the legislation ended up.
Well, we still need to unpack everything from the last hour, 2 hours, 3 hours. But the job will be left for us, and we'll interpret what was put in the final bill, and then we'll get to work.
Speaking about better access to care, there's a bill on your desk right now that would allow pharmacists to prescribe birth control.
Yeah.
You know, coming off of last summer passing the abortion ban, just generally it talks about better access to care. Is that something that you can support?
Well, it's, as you say, I have not reviewed the bill in final form, which I'm going to be a skipping record here and tell you I'm going to do that, but more access is typically better in my mind. But I'll reserve final judgment until I read through all the bills that are piling up, thankfully piling up.
Governor, when Hoosiers wake up in like a couple hours, and they read about the 2023 legislation.
They're not live streaming right now.
I can't speak for some of my colleagues.
Right.
When they read about the 2023 legislative session, what should their single biggest takeaway be in your mind?
Good question. Generational investments are being made to strengthen an already strong state, person by person, community by community. And this administration, it's all about implementation now. We have the resources to address, as I said, long, lingering issues, be it health, be it economic development in a new world that we find ourselves in. We are properly equipped and resources to get the job done.
On 98, the three-part
Yeah.
mental crisis system.
Yep.
FSSA estimates had it at 130.6 million a year. It's obviously less than that in the budget.
Yeah.
Just kind of curious, and advocates, you know, from
Sure.
the State House are concerned about this potential patchwork of services. Depending where you live in the state, you may get access to crisis services. I'm curious what's going to be next now that that money's going to be available. Do you have any sense for whether their concerns may be real, or is 50 million going to be enough to do a lot of
Well,
work?
it's 50 million and 50 million, but it gets us well on our way to our 2027 goal. So I'm confident with this infusion that we'll be able to ultimately realize it. Had we, you know, as some people were betting before even the first week was done, that we would come out in a much different place than we are here today, I might have been more concerned. But now I'm confident because of the proper level of funding for mental health, for physical health, for all the above. This is something that, not to mention all the workforce development, all the additional juvenile mental health investments that we'll be able to make all over the state of Indiana. You mentioned kind of a hodgepodge or patchwork or across the state. We are in a position to address issues on a statewide basis because of all these relationships that have been built. And this is on the heels, sailing through a global pandemic. I wouldn't call it a miracle, but I would call it close.
The budget includes salary increases for state elected officials. You won't personally see that, but what are your thoughts on salary increases for certain?
What are my thoughts on other people's salaries?
Was it necessary?
It's been talked about for years, long before I was in this office, or on this side of the desk, I should say. I remember discussions. It crops into conversations, I bet you, every session. This particular session, when asked, I stated it, I understand for others, but when I ran for this office, I knew what the salary was, and so I didn't support it for myself. And I was very pleased that the leaders took that to heart and started it after. And that gives everyone who seeks to run for office in the future, they know what the new salary will be. So I'll gladly sign it. They've done a comp study. We did a comp study for state employees. Hadn't done one since 1970, so it was out of whack as well, so I don't want to be hypocritical. So yeah, I'll end up supporting it.
We're waiting for a decision on the state's abortion ban from the Supreme Court.
Yeah.
If that law is struck down in whole or in part, would you support lawmakers coming back for a special session?
Talk to me when you don't include if, and I'll give you a not if answer.
At this point, do you anticipate any vetoes?
Well, like I said, bills are piling up. And you know I like to read every bill, and as does my staff. So there are some bills that I'm paying close attention to, and I'll come to a final conclusion before the time expires.
But the budget included $10 million for land conservation.
Yeah.
The exact number for trails was $30
30.
million. And $5 million to help with clean up that McCormick Creek. What are your thoughts on those numbers and what they might be used for?
Well, trails, 30 million is helpful. Trails will also be, I predict, included in some READY Round 2. Secretary, you might want to comment on READY, but trails was a significant percentage of READY Round 1. So there are other avenues in addition to the money that we have for trails. Land conservation, there were some other projects included in this budget that will, the acreage, about 4,700 acres in Sullivan County for a project that was outside of that land acquisition fund, that 10 million. We'll be supporting a major project down in the Origin Park, down near the falls in Jeffersonville, which is a massive project, about 1,400 acres when you patch it all together. We're not going to own it. But in terms of setting aside property for the public, we'll be making significant gains in addition to that 10 million that we'll be able to partner with some others, land conservancy, nature, and some other entities. So I'm very pleased with the trails and park potential to keep our momentum going. And I would say just like housing, we made some serious progress on housing, but when you look at the READY Round 1, a large percentage of that, over 40% of the whole pie, was for housing or housing infrastructure or mixed use developments. So there are multiple pots to draw from, including on the two programs that you just mentioned.
We had several high-profile bills dealing with various social issues, including
Well, everyone, and I respect everyone has an opinion one way or another on virtually every bill that flies through this process. I do. I will just point folks to the numbers. The facts are speaking for themselves in terms of in-migration compared to our neighbors, out-migration, or not holding up to the population needed to maintain their congressional delegation even. States around us lost. We're still gaining. When you think about the capital investment that's being made here, it's unprecedented. And I assure you, my neighbors are taking note of it. You look at the states that are growing, and you look at the states that are not, and those are the ones that I'm competing with because we're growing. And we've got magnets in this state, whether it's places to visit, universities, that will continue to attract, and we have to work every single day, no matter what the number is, to keep more of them here. And jobs will go, careers will go a long way in pulling people here, and we've got a very full pipeline. And so for the next year and a half plus, we'll be working to increase those numbers.
The budget included $20 million for low barrier homeless shelters and a funding mechanism for Indianapolis.
Yeah.
For
Yeah.
ongoing operations of that. How involved in that were you, and how important is that for the city?
Yeah, we were tracking it. I think it's a very good thing. There were a lot of different local initiatives all over the state of Indiana. I mentioned a couple of them, Sullivan and Clark County. There were some others throughout northern Indiana. There was that one here to address a very real issue that has an impact on a visitor's experience. Very important to us with all the conventions, that record level of business that we're doing. We're going to be pumping more money into tourism and into statewide, but local bids for sporting events, et cetera. So, yeah, we want to address the housing issue. I will also say, an affordable housing issue. I will also say that we did a lot of work to make sure that we were inventorying all the housing available, showing where the gaps were. And again, ready. You just, well, I have it on my desk right here. The Wall Street Journal just now has Lafayette as the #1 emerging housing market in America. We have 3 of the top 5. We are just, for last month, we regained the #1 position in terms of single-family home building permits of all of our neighbors. Overtook Ohio. We've consistently led, but the 2 months prior to last month, we were neck and neck and just behind Ohio, but now we're back on top. So we are growing, but you can't forget that population in terms of living units available. And it was a smart thing to do for our capital city, and we supported it.
How do you explain the $500 million for the deal closing fund? How will that be actually used? It's not defined, really.
You're going to use it to close deals,
Yes,
right?
yes. Simply said, obviously, we've had unprecedented growth in economic activity, and it's because we have the tools to compete. We have a great product in Indiana, and if you look at the commentary here, all of this leads to great quality of life, too. The educational investments, just across the board that we're making in this budget puts our state in a great position to continue to grow. And we've been growing, and we're going to continue to grow. But you got to compete, and we're competing with the best states. And quite frankly, we're competing globally, right? So, and we're winning, and that is important as we go out and win in the global economy. As the economy is transitioning and there's reshoring and onshoring, we're very focused on high-wage careers. and industries of the future, and that deal closing fund will help us with all of that.
Big time.
There was some grumbling even from Republicans, though, despite or because of the level of investment in IEDC, about how much transparency there is with how those dollars will be used. So how do you make sure that when some of these things are by necessity almost secret, how do you make sure that you're being as clear as possible with Hoosiers about where their taxpayer money is going?
We are actually very transparent. There are some things that are under confidentiality agreement by the company, right? So we have to respect our customers as much as anything, and we have to respect taxpayer dollars in the way we invest those. And some of those things require privacy, just like any business would. So from that perspective, I think that's where the commentary may be coming from. So other than that, the processes are very transparent, and the investments after the confidentiality is available to the public is out there. So,
And then where we can, we'll go out of our way to work with locals and to work with members to make sure they're read into, what we're pursuing. We're on a, cruising into a new frontier here. The pipeline is fuller than I've ever seen it since 2005, by a lot. And there's probably a window when you're talking about a lot of these investments that are going to be made in this new economy in semiconductors and battery and some of the ag bioscience investments that are going to be made. Life sciences, you just saw a big one recently, $3.7 billion. So it's what I've said is carpe diem. We have to seize the day right now, but we have to have the tools to do that, and it will require us, for sure, because it's new, to make sure we're reading in those who need to know and when they need to know. So,
Why extend the gas tax index?
pardon me?
Why extend the gas tax index?
You want to go through how we arrived at?
Well, I think the legislature took a look at what was done in 2017 and started to look, and I believe there's also an additional task force that's created about long-term financing for infrastructure and road projects. And so I think it's just the next step or evolution in looking at that. With the onset and growing popularity of electric vehicles, we still have to find a way to take care of the investments that have been made in our roadways. And so I think that's what the decision-making was from the legislature.
I'm going to say last question.
What time is it?
Yeah, so.
Like, we're all in now. I mean, we're not, no one's.
Governor,
Yes, sir.
The budget has a prohibition for funding going to the Kinsey Institute. Just wanted to know if you have any personal thoughts on whether that should have been included.
I'll have to read the bill. I don't know enough about it right now to comment, but be happy to get you my reaction.
Governor, I don't think you used the words next level yet today.
Well, if you look at my next level agendas, before and after, no, this is a great day for Indiana, but most importantly, it's what we do with it. And it's a heck of an opportunity and a lot of work upstairs and a lot of offices around this place. Blood, sweat, and tears went into it, and we arrived at a strong position. So, competition, beware. Thank you all very much.